Samuel Ramani is an associate fellow at the RUSI think tank and the CEO of Pangaea Geopolitical Risk. Welcome back, Samuel. Good to see you. Has the ceasefire ceased?
Well, I think that the ceasefire is obviously under a great deal of pressure right now, in part because of the situation in Lebanon. Netanyahu has made it pretty clear that the ceasefire does not actually apply to its operations against Hezbollah, and he's defined that as a separate front. Clearly, the Iranians don't agree with that, and the Iranians and the Pakistanis, who are the chief mediators, see all these things as interrelated. So Iran is now restricting transit to the Strait of Hormuz. It's allowing only selected vessels from friendly countries to come through. The U.S. wants a full reopening, and we're now on a knife's edge once again. And a lot of it's caused by Israel's actions in Lebanon.
All parties are supposed to be heading to the peace talks at the weekend, tomorrow. Where is the basis for a negotiation at these peace talks, given what's happening?
Well, I think obviously there's going to be a negotiation to basically get the Strait of Hormuz reopened as soon as possible, even though the Trump administration is talking another line, basically saying that European countries and Asian countries have to fend for themselves. They're under also a lot of pressure from those allies to make sure that the strait opens up and that energy prices come down. The Iranians are obviously going to want significant concessions in response to that. They're going to want probably some kind of a minimal threshold of uranium enrichment for civilian purposes. They're probably going to want, some maybe even bargaining for some removal of sanctions, as we've seen in their 10-point plan, and also transiting fees to be charged, maybe shared with Oman. That could make up for some of the damage caused by this war, and giving the Americans a sense that they need to pay reparations, de facto. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of intense dialogue and very hard to find a consensus right now.
How far can the United States go in terms of any further military effort?
Well, I mean, the United States obviously has basically implied that if Iran doesn't open the Strait of Hormuz, there's going to be a much stronger military offensive than we've ever seen before, and that will extend to civilian infrastructure, that will extend to bridges, that will extend to power plants, and large-scale bombing. But Iran has already shown that it can absorb a massive amount of bombardment and still carry out significant disruptions with missiles and drones on Gulf energy infrastructure and also on U.S. bases and on American personnel in the region. So I don't think that air power alone, or more bombing of civilian infrastructure, is going to break the Islamic Republic or lead to a regime change in Iran. The only path for the Iranian regime to change is through a ground invasion. And that's something that the Trump administration, even if it escalates, doesn't really want to go anywhere near.
So how close is Iran to exhausting its ability to retaliate militarily?
Well, I think that it's actually got more capabilities than you might think. I mean, they've got the ability to still use sea mines in the Strait of Hormuz. They have the ability to weaponize the Houthis in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. They were just starting to get into the war, maybe, on the Red Sea, but now they could use them more fully. They could definitely you still continue to use missiles and drones. Obviously, there's some research assessments that show that missile capabilities in particular are less than what they had before, but they still have enough to cause disruption to aviation travel and also damage to oil fields and gas fields, akin to what we saw in Ras Al Khaimah in Qatar. So I think that Iran obviously has seen some of its capabilities significantly degraded, but their ability to retaliate in the near term remains high, and I think that they can still be a major disruptor to global economy and global energy markets, and that's why I think that U.S.'s options to retaliate right now and not have a diplomatic solution are probably less than what Trump is implying.